Guys, welcome back to another episode of the Kings of Scream podcast. I'm Daniel.
I'm Tyler.
And guys, we got another... We're going down this path. I feel like we are definitely going down this path right now of Halloween. We just came off the actual holiday just recently. Yeah. Tyler, how was your Halloween?
The Halloween was good.
Did you guys get a lot of visitors out this way?
5.
Yeah, 5.
Yeah.
I live in the same kind of area where it's just like nobody comes trick-or-treating. You know what I did, though? What I normally do is I always go ridiculously, well, before Adrian came along, I always went ridiculously overboard. So I'd always buy like a little box of like full-size candy bars. Like I said, not much. Like I said, 10 maybe. And then I'd get a case of soda. And then literally, the few I'd get that night would come and they'd be like, boom, guess what? Full-size can. There you go. And then I would probably only have 3 to 4 visitors. Period. That was it. But I'm like, hey, I took care of those 3 or 4 visitors. So those 3 or 4 visitors were well taken care of, and they remembered next year come back to this house. So.
I still have 2 buckets of candy, so I have one on each side of the east side of the house. I got one at the kitchen and then one at the door.
Brilliant.
So I did get to see Chucky and his bride.
Oh, there it is. The entire family showed up, I hear. So, yeah, we were, I was Chucky, my girlfriend was Tiffany, and then our son was Glenn. So, yeah, we came by and partook in the festivities. We kept, your wife, like, handing him the bucket. He's like, pick out some extra candy. Grab what you want. He kept picking up, like, non-candy. Yeah. And I'm just like, buddy, candy. And he's just like, yeah, foam. And he's like, oh, glow sticks. I'm just like... And I want to be like the guy just like shoved him out of the way, like, no, you do this. Yeah. And start grabbing the candy, but
let me show you how it's done.
Exactly. We've got to teach you here. Tyler, what are we talking about today? What is our movie that we're going to be discussing today?
We're going to go back to 1981 to a movie that wasn't even supposed to happen. Halloween 2.
Halloween 2.
And for some reason, every time they released a movie, it's like, we're not going to do another one.
We're not doing this one, but now we're doing it. So let's kind of give you the brief little plot, and then we'll get into this movie right here. Basically, Laurie Strode is in the hospital.
Yep.
Michael Myers is chasing her, and Dr. Sam Loomis is chasing him. And so this is what we got going on.
And the cops are chasing Loomis.
It's cops are chasing Loomis, exactly. So before we actually get into this actual movie, let me just ask you, like we always do in every one of these episodes, when was the first time you actually watched Halloween 2, and what was your initial reaction to this movie? Like, give me the little background here.
Well, being in the 90s is the first time that I'd seen it. Mm-hmm. And I always thought, man, this one's just as scary as the first one, just being as a little kid.
Oh, yeah, no.
Of course, now you think, well, I kind of feel like the first one was scarier, more intense than the second one, which, we get into that.
Because, we'll definitely, we'll flesh it out.
I like it, though. I mean, it's Halloween.
It's Halloween.
And the tricks that they put into the movie, and then John Carpenter adding gory scenes to the movie was not what they wanted, but he did it anyways, which obviously, he has the mind.
I think it worked out, too, because I'll be honest with you, and I didn't know this until I did my research for this show. I didn't realize he did reshoots. I really thought, I don't know what I thought. I guess I just didn't really think anything of it. I thought this was all Rick Rosenthal, and that was it. Yep. But it's like, no, it was, and I learned that. So the first time I learned any about that was that,
him and Rick butted heads.
Yeah.
Because Rick didn't want it to be as gory, but, John Carpenter felt like we needed this.
Well, I think because when Halloween came out, the slasher series, there were slashers here and there, but there wasn't a boom for it yet. Like, really, Halloween kind of set in motion, for Friday the 13th, and then all the copycats and all that stuff after that. And so by the time this comes out, it's like, yeah, we've already done this. Like, we are in the slasher golden era. And so, yeah, you got to, excuse me, I downed some soda before I got on here. Very unprofessional. The president's already been said, 1981, slashers, the cycle's going through. And he felt that, just suspense alone is not going to carry this. You got to have a little extra. So we had, they had some titties in the last one, but we had some titties in this one, and then some blood and, gore as well.
We had some hot titties.
Hot.
Like
boiling
water
hot, yes. For me, I don't know exactly when I watched this, because like I said, my whole Halloween series is kind of thrown off. It was in the 90s, but I'm sure I told you that story last time. I saw part 6 first, thinking it was part 1, and it was, and then I watched part 1. So I had to watch part 2 around that time, but I want to say I may have seen Maybe I did see 2 first, and then the Jamie Lloyd trilogy after that. But like I said, really liked it, really dug it. I feel like, when you look at all of them, even though it is a different director for the most part, it still has the same vibe. I feel like, you can easily watch this after part 1 if you did like a double feature, and it kind of go together right there. For me personally, the thing I take from this movie, because there's a lot I don't like about I won't say a lot. There's some I don't like about it. Overall, I think it works. But the thing that I love about this is the setting of the creepy hospital, because as a kid watching this, every time I'm in a hospital for whatever reason, it could be day or night, and you just go down that, you turn a corner and it's just a dead hallway, like there's just no one there. You can't help but think about Halloween too. Like literally, I'm just thinking about security cameras with Michael Myers walking the halls, and to me, that's just one of the best settings ever.
It's scary because the fact that there's so many corners in a hospital,
corners, doors, corridors. Whatever. I mean, so
and a bunch of blind people that don't watch the cameras.
Well, there's a movie on. You can't watch a camera all the time. Night of the Living Dead's on. You gotta watch it.
It's a classic within a classic.
A classic, exactly. They know what they're doing. So we'll go through the plot, and then we'll kind of go back to other stuff about this. But basically, in this one, we get an awesome opening shot. Which, in the first one, we had the pumpkin, and then the camera kind of pushed in on it. Here, the pumpkin splits, and we get a nice little skull inside. I kind of forgot about that, actually. I don't know why I forgot about that, but I was like, oh, yeah, shit, the skull is on that one. I don't know. Pretty cool visual. I dig that. Mm-hmm. But we pick up right after, and it's funny only because Jamie Lee Curtis has a very bad wig on.
Yeah.
And she's aged noticeably. Like, it is like, again, it's not that much longer. What was it? 4 years, 3 years since the other one? So it's like, it's not like it's been a whole lot of time, but she grown up since Halloween and Halloween 2. So it is kind of like, anyway, she has, this really distractingly bad wig. Loomis, played by Donald Pleasance, he kills it yet again. I mean, he really is the perfect guy for this role. I mean, it's just all there is to it.
That's why when I look back now,
mm-hmm.
I hate that they killed him off.
Yeah.
Because it's like, then we're not going to do a number 3 or 4. 3 was obviously in its own different category.
Yeah, different timeline, different thing altogether,
But, the characters that they had in it were just odd. They click so well together.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the Pleasance is great in here. Again, fueling the obsessed doctor trying to reach his patient, but now he realizes that there is no reaching him. That's why in part 1 he even said that. That's why he's trying to put him away or whatever. But here it's like he goes to almost a crazy level. The scene in that exemplifies this the most is Ben Tramer trying to get away. He's in the Michael Myers outfit. And, dude, Loomis goes right for the gun. Like, instantly.
Oh, yeah.
Not even just like, hey, get over here. He's just like, nope, we're going to have to kill him. It's like, holy shit. Of course, Sheriff Brackett is only in this movie for a brief minute because, we discover his daughter died. And so it kind of takes him out of the movie, completely after that. But we get, I forget the guy's name. It's another Gary something. I don't remember. He's basically another deputy that kind of takes over the Sheriff Brackett role from part 1, where now it's him and Loomis kind of driving around, trying to put all the clues together and everything. So we get, we get a brief little murder scene in the beginning, but then Myers hears that they're taking the surviving victim, Laurie Strode, to the local hospital, and now he's going to walk the entire way there. And then from there, the movie takes place inside the hospital.
So how does he know where the hospital is?
Because when he is walking during the trick-or-treating thing, the kid in the pirate outfit is got a boombox, or he's a cowboy. I can't remember. He's something, but it's on there, and he bumps into him. Well, it's funny you say that, though, because in the initial, when he did it, they're like, shit, how does he know? He just goes out there. So they had to shoot that scene just kind of from scratch, just to be like, here's how Myers knows right there. Because initially, they didn't have that scene, and when Carpenter was in the post-production, thing, he's just like, he just shows up. He just magically shows up. Goddamn.
Is he still driving
this is a David Gordon Green version here. What the hell's going on? So, anyways, any scenes that stick out to you in this that you really do? Once we get the movie going,
Well, the
hot tub scene.
The hot tub scene.
I mean, come on, we're guys here. I know it's 2022. We're not supposed to enjoy boobies anymore, but God damn it, it's a great scene. It really is.
It was a great scene, and then of course the way that she was killed holding her head under boiling hot water. Which, if that was me, I probably would have just took a big old gasp of water.
Just try to end it quickly. Like,
and because Michael, he's kind of like a kid. He likes sometimes to toy with them.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm gonna want you to drown a little bit and burn at the same time. So
apparently not burning his hand though. My God, you would have thought he'd been like, oh shit, that's really hot. Use his elbow, kind of push her down in there, like
a lot of good kill scenes though. I mean,
good. Yeah, no.
I like the, when he picks up the nurse with the scalpel. And just, surprise finger in the butt.
I will say, it gives us one of the best Halloween memes of all time. Surprise finger. Whoops. Security guard in the basement. Claw hammer right in the head. Fucking love that scene right there.
And then he hooks him up and puts him up on the side of the wall.
Yeah.
When she walks in and finds him.
We get the scalpel in the eye with the drunk doctor. Like the main doctor comes in, he's like, I need coffee. That guy. When we turn him around the chair, scalpel in his eye. You get a lot of off-screen kills I noticed doing this one. Like the nurse, she's bled out and everything else. So same kind of thing. It's just like but he's getting creative with his murders. And like you said, he's he's doing a lot of toying, but he does a lot of experimentation here. Going back to the hot tub scene because it's a great scene. When he kills the dude in the background, which is really cool. He comes up to this girl, and much like he did with PJ Souls in the last movie, he lets her think that he's, Bud, the paramedic. So he puts his hand on her, right there, and she's kissing. It's just like, holy shit! Like, hey, there's no way that tasted good at all. Like, goddamn, that's
she didn't
murder hand. Yeah. You gotta think his hands are calloused over or whatever. I don't know. But anyways, although it is funny because this is supposed to take place the same night as Halloween, so I mean, I guess it's not like he had years and years of murder under his belt. It's just been one massive murder spree.
Like he stopped at the local gas station, washing.
Didn't wash up. Did this dude not take a shower at all? So anyway, you see him kind of playing these mind games a little bit more now. And then, of course, we get our awesome... Well, I forgot, we got to mention Nurse Chambers, Marilyn Chambers, comes back. And this is a scene that made me kind of laugh out loud because when she shows up, Donald Pleasance's like, oh, I barely recognized you. And I'm like, dude, that was last night that Myers escaped. Like, you saw her last night. You barely recognize her. I know the audience has been away for 3 or 4 years, and we maybe, oh, yeah, it is her. But, like, no, you know her. Like, what the hell? That shows you how blinded he is with fucking Michael Myers. He's just like, yeah, this is the girl who wrote me. I don't remember her. Right? It's been too long. So, but she comes back, and then that's when we get the backstory that everybody kind of goes. I noticed it seems like no one was debating this initially. It seems like people are just debating it now that the new Halloweens came out and just disconnected this part from it. But this is where we discover that Jamie Lee Curtis is in fact, or Laurie Strode is in fact Michael Myers' sister. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about that? Do you prefer the sister-brother storyline? Do you think you can do without it? Like, what's your personal opinion on that?
Personal opinion is if they went a different way, I don't think it would have went as good as it did.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think so. And there's a lot of people on the internet that say, well, they shouldn't have been brother and sister. Yeah. Okay, then what's the connection?
Exactly.
Because you have to think of a brand new connection for, 40 years?
Yeah.
Well,
that's why the new trilogy sucks, because they're not brother and sister, and it makes less sense now. It's like, well, then why is he so obsessed, and why does it keep coming back to her, and why is she so... It's just like, no, if they're related, there's a connection, and you can have the,
And the thing is though, you don't find out. She doesn't find out until the second, second movie, which I think was a great idea to keep that out of sight.
No, I agree.
In
absolutely.
The first
well, I kind of feel like that's the way a sequel should be. You should be introducing new lore, new aspects, new whatever to it, and because that's what you do. You get your foundation with the first one. Now you're building up with it, and I think I will stand by it. I think the brother sister connection is better for the franchise, and I think the movies themselves prove this.
And the fact that they hid it from Laurie.
Yeah. I mean, and again, I think that's one thing they really kind of did well, because that's something you see in each of them is like, whenever there is a connection there that, it was kept secret because, you didn't want to tarnish. A, you didn't want her to feel odd or whatever, but B, it's like, this was a serial killer that's still in an institution somewhere. So it's like, you want to keep it, as quiet as possible to protect her in the long run,
So she was, in the storyline, she's 2 years young.
Yeah.
2 years older.
No, younger, yeah.
2 years younger than
She's the baby girl, because Judy would have been the oldest sister who gets murdered in the beginning of part 1, then Michael, and now Laurie would be the last.
Where's the damn family pictures at?
Exactly. Where is all the they threw that shit out really quickly. Well, they had Dark Secret. They're like, we're not going to show her this.
Put everything in the basement.
So we get that. We get a nice little connection with Sam Hain, which I think they call it. I think it's actually pronounced like Samhain or something like that. But we're Americans. We pronounce it how it's spelled out. So for years, everybody called it Sam Hain, and then the Irish were like, "No, it's Samhain." It's like, oh, Sam Hain. I prefer Sam Hain. But anyway, so we get it sounds cooler and just it's fucking more metal. Come on. But no, it's we get that whole connection there, and that will come back the whole Celtic stuff, Irish, lore. That comes back really hard in part 6, the Curse of Michael Myers. When we get the symbol of the thorn and all that stuff right there. So that's I really dig the idea they're going back to this mythology kind of thing or whatever. Yeah. So go ahead.
Like I was reading the nudity and stuff, the violence, and how certain countries banned.
Yeah, it was banned in certain countries and wouldn't show till
Iceland,
much later.
Germany, and
which is so crazy because like some of the craziest fetish porn comes from Germany. And it's just like, and they're like, no titties in this. Like, can't do that. Now I wonder though, do you think? Because I'm sure you got it from Wikipedia like I did. Do you think it was banned because of the titties or the fact that there's violence with the titties?
I think it was the violence.
Because Rob Zombie said the same thing that when he did Devil's Rejects and they had that very uncomfortable scene inside the motel room, it was kind of the same thing where they were cracking down less that there was nudity, but the fact that it was this pre-rape, brutal, And I'm like, I get that because I guess if it's a shower scene that has nothing to do with anything, it's like, put more of that in there. And then as soon as you throw a hint of danger, they're like, okay, this is too far. Take it away right now. So,
well, they weren't thinking of that in 1981.
No.
It wasn't. I mean, you got to think of everything that was coming out and during that time.
Oh, it was a great haven of violence and sex together, and the fact that you had straight to video was becoming a thing, and so we didn't have to even talk to the ratings board. It's just like, no, don't worry about them. Fuck it, it's non-rated. Go right there. So no, it was a perfect time for sex and violence to be married together in this.
And the thing is like that. Like, they gave it a lower rating. Mm-hmm. They gave it like a 6.5 out of, I think, 10, which I think is just a little low. Mm. I do. I think all the Michael Myers, except for the damn number 3 and the new ones, they should easily be a 7.5 higher. I don't
know. I feel like it's one of those because, that's the thing. I noticed that whenever I was checking this out, I was kind of surprised that the critics weren't as big on this when it came out. They all were just like, we've already seen these slasher movies out now. At that time, you got to remember, there were a lot of slasher movies out, so it's like, I get it, kind of lost in the shuffle. And a lot of people were just like, well, it's not like the, the original, and it didn't have the suspense or whatever the case is. However, I did notice that it seemed like it was with time that this thing started getting its due. It was, after years have passed, people went back and watched it and said, you know what, this actually is a good movie. I don't have I do right now, actually. The Rotten Tomatoes score on this thing was 30%, which is pretty crazy. That's wicked low. That's dog shit. And it's like, it didn't deserve 30%. Come on. I think if you were to repoll critics today, and not fans, I'm talking about legit professional critics, it'd have to be higher. I can't imagine this would still get 30% or anything.
I think they could easily double it.
Yeah.
But 30%.
Yeah, that's insane low. Like I said, I'm not saying this to be certified fresh, but it definitely doesn't deserve a rotten. It should be in that regular fresh category. I'd say somewhere between 60 and 80%. I think that's what the fresh rating is. It does. You're right. 6.5 on IMDb right there, and it grossed, I believe.
It grossed 25.5.
So successful as hell. And that's the thing. I think fans liked it. I think it was mostly critics that kind of shit on this more than the fans did. But
they made $23 million.
Dude, they dominated right there.
$23 million in 1981.
I was like 1981 money. It's even better, So
lifestyle of the rich and the famous, right there.
So we get to the big finale, which again after I will say this. One thing I truly hated was Jimmy's fate in this in the theatrical version, where he runs in, because he's on top of things, looking dead bodies, sees, I forget the nurse's name, but the head nurse, the one that's constantly kicking him out of Laurie's room, and there she is, dripping blood, and then when he turns, and he just, he's in, the blood, it's like, dude, why are you standing in this shit? But he turns to run, and he slips, and he goes down. And then, the last time we see him, in this version, mind you, is he comes out stumbling out to the car because Laurie's hiding in the car, which I'm not, it is what it is. But then he's like, I'm going to get us out of here. And then he just passes out in the car, honks the horn, gets everybody's attention. And then we never see him again.
Yeah.
Literally, Laurie gets out, gets to the hospital. For that point, Loomis, I forget the girl's name already, but Chambers, Miss Chambers.
Miss Chambers.
And then the other cop that was just with him, they escorted him out, the marshal. I forget what a cop, he's a marshal. They're already in there. And so we never see Jimmy again. And it's just like, what the fuck happened to him? It's just like, I don't know.
Do you think they make them choices just because they don't want to have to build another inferior, storyline?
I think, honestly, in this case, it was probably forgotten, because I'll get to that in a second. There's actually, we do get closure on the TV version instead of, the theatrical cut or whatever. So anyway, we get the big showdown. Of course, the marshal's there just to add body count. Got to kill another guy. But Nurse Chambers gets out, and then we get this awesome showdown in the room. And it honestly is like one of my favorite scenes in this movie, aside from just the random hallway stalking, where she shoots... When I say it out loud, it sounds so stupid. She shoots him in the head twice, taking out both eyes, but doesn't kill him. Just, bleeding, bloody, tears down my mask. But as he's in the room trying to slash at her, and at this point he's already cut up Loomis pretty bad. He already got him right in the gut. Yeah. So Loomis is kind of on the wall, but then he turns on these gas tanks and releases the, gas out. And so now he's blindly just swiping at nothing. And then when he's getting close to Loomis, Laurie reciprocates. Shows how good of a character she is, because she could have easily just said, like, bye, and got the hell out of there, but she doesn't. She turns it on, gets the attention back. And so, again, you gotta think, like, Myers is so smart in so many instances, but he, at this point, he just kind of like, fuck it, I don't even want to know. It's like, you're hearing gas. That's not them. That's not them. But he's just like, don't give a shit. Just gonna keep cutting around.
What is the old game kids used to play? You had the blindfold and where you'd stand in one corner and the other corner, and you had to find.
It's basically like kind of like a Marco Polo kind of thing, but you were had to close your eyes, or in your case blindfolded or whatever, but you still had to kind of look for them, and they could they had to kind of move around, and you had to go by sound like that. So we got this thing going on. Finally, she gets out, and then Loomis, in the ultimate role of sacrifice, is like, I'm taking you to hell with me, lights the match, explosion. And, of course, Myers is so badass he walks out of the fireball, but he eventually collapses and crumbles. And then at the end, she rides off into the hearse, we play Mr. Sandman, and we get the hell out of here. Yep. So in the initial version of this, Loomis dies. Like, that's it. He will never come back again. And neither was Myers supposed to come back, because it was going, they knew ahead of time they're doing Season of the Witch next, and it's going to be a totally different whatever. So I got a little handful of things here. Like I said, they were supposed to kill him out in this one right here, and that was going to be the end of it, and they're going to start this anthology. It's just weird to me that's like, it's so ass backwards. Like, why would you do two in a row like that? I know the real reasons the producers like, we want this movie, so do it, So I get that, but it's just like, well, then did you really think part 3 was going to work without Michael Myers? Like, do you think everybody's going to be like, yeah, we're on board, let's do it?
It was an absolute bombshell of a movie. Like, it was so bad that they were like, okay, return to Michael Myers. We're doing number 4.
Number 4. Now, have you seen 3?
Yeah.
Now, what's your thought on that? Like, take everything out of it though. Like, let's just say, in a perfect world, there was no Michael Myers or Halloween connection. It was just called Season of the Witch. Do you think it's a good movie with, that's not part of the Halloween franchise, or do you just think it's a bad movie all around?
I think it deserves the 30% Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay, fair enough. Personally, I do like Season of the Witch, but it is like,
well, you build a foundation off of 3 characters, and then you make a movie.
Well, the bad thing is, they didn't just call it Halloween Season of the Witch, which would kind of have worked. Halloween, or even like the Halloween Saga or Halloween Tale, whatever. You can still have Halloween your title and then go Season of the Witch. They went Halloween 3, which says this follows the events of the first 2 movies, and it doesn't. In fact, the only nod they have is there's a little scene where the guy's in the bar and they have the trailer for Halloween playing there. And it's like, so you're telling me that not only is this part 3, but it doesn't even take place on the same timeline. Like, in this world, the Halloween movies are fictional. Like, they're just movies. Like, it's so, it's so dumb how they did that. It's just like, I don't know. I am so against the... It shouldn't even been a part of a franchise. I'm just saying, if you want to make it, in this world, you should have called it Halloween 3. You should have just called it Halloween Season of the Witch, or drop Halloween altogether, just call it Season of the Witch, and then later on in interviews be like, well, technically this isn't the same world. that we're building here. Because then if you want to do crossovers later down the road or whatever, you could. But it's like you guys fucked up on that. That wasn't the fans. I blame them all. I blame the producer. I blame Carpenter. I blame Tommy Lee Wallace. Like everybody who had a hand in this. You guys should have let the 3 out. Just put Halloween or whatever the case is.
They should have never have thought that it was going to work because you don't even have the main characters of what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And it should not have been involved.
No.
I mean, like a spinoff, sure, but not number 3. That's like saying Die Hard 3.
Yeah.
No Bruce Willis.
No Bruce Willis. No mention of him. Just a totally different thing.
Yeah, never happened. They're watching, a TV.
Liam Neeson shows up, just like, I'm here to rescue my daughter. It's like, this ain't Die Hard. It's like, no, it is. It's part 3. Don't worry about it. It's Die Hard 3. We're good. We're going to keep rolling with it.
But I think that they understood what mistake they made.
Oh, I instantly understood, because not only did they call it Part 4, they literally called it The Return of, like, they wanted you to know in the title. So if you never even seen a trailer, you're just at the theater going like, oh shit, look at this one. It's The Return of Michael Myers. Like, it says so right here on the poster. One ticket, please. So I said they knew instantly what the fuck was going on there.
I just don't know why. I don't know what the mindset of like John Carpenter was thinking of.
He admits that he was really drunk during a lot of this time, and he was just like, even during writing this one, because he's what he blamed the whole sibling thing on. He's just like, I was just drunk at my typewriter trying to figure out, what am I, because he didn't want to do it. He really wanted to do something totally different. So another little tidbit here, I thought it was kind of interesting. I didn't see him, but I saw the picture later on. So after the murders, and they get the reporters out there, and they're like, this is the Myers house, and responsible for all these dead people. Dana Carvey apparently is an extra in this movie, wearing a blue ball cap. For those who don't know who Dana Carvey is, comedian, SNL. He did a Garth on the Wayne's World movies. Had his own movie that, depending on who you talk to, was great or horrible, known as The Master of Disguise. But either way, Dana Carvey was in a Halloween movie, and apparently, according to him, I don't know how true it is, this is what he said, that he was trying to get more lines. This is before he was even famous, so it's like he's not even Dana Carvey right now. He's just some no-name actor, but he's like trying to push to get more lines in the movie, and apparently he got them, but then they cut him, so it was just like,
Well, I mean, you have to take your shot.
Got to. I mean, you can't fault the guy. I would have done the exact same thing.
Which, Halloween number 2, okay, they changed who was Myers.
Yeah.
Now, the guy was, like 5'9", so they had to give him a little height help. He actually walks into the director's office with the mask on, does the head tilt, and they're like, you start tomorrow. Get
in there, Dick Warlock. You're the new Michael Myers. It's funny too, because it's like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying there isn't, because I know certain people who play like voiceless killers in these movies always claim like, I had a method of acting here. And Dick Warlock's just literally like, no, I had the head tilt and I just used the mannerisms of walking. He goes, that was it. He goes, there wasn't any other psychology or anything like that thrown into it. And I'm like, at least he admits it. Like, I don't know. A lot of times you're just like, the guy would be like, yeah, I was thinking, like, what would Myers doing this? So just like, dude, you're just walking and killing. Like, that's your whole thing. You're supposed to be just a great white shark in boots with a knife.
He didn't take credit for making the Myers character better. He just took what happened in the first movie. And
really, Rick Rosenthal kind of had that same attitude. He even says like, I wasn't trying to inject my style into this that much. He goes, because I knew it was already established, and I think that's a good thing. He knew what was already there, so he wanted the look to be very similar. He wanted the feel to be very similar, and so it's like, I gotta respect that, because again, when you don't do that, you get what we had this last trilogy of just like fucking whatever random.
I cannot
bullshit.
remember who had the original mask, but they had it in the basement of their house.
Yeah, they said people were like sitting on it, or it was like stuff or something. So it's like it's the same mask. It just looks different because it's been so warped or whatever. And so it's just like, which again, I always felt like it kind of plays okay, only because he's been through a lot of shit in the last movie and this one. So it's like, we'll buy it. It's when they alter the mask later down the road where you're just like, because like in part, I think it's Resurrection, when he fights Busta Rhymes in a karate match. That really happened, guys. Yeah. That mask had eyebrows. And it's like, why?
Stupid.
One mask makes it look like he's more like, angry. It's just like, no, blank, white, expressionless. That's the look, but everybody has their own version of what it should look like.
I mean, what's he going to do, The Rock's eyebrow?
Oh, that'd be great. That's what I want to see. I just want to see it like that. And then when someone like, what the hell, he rips the mask off, and it is The Rock, and he's just like, you Rudy Poo
Do
candy.
you smell the blood that's falling out? It's like, yeah.
So initially, this was supposed to be, it was thrown around. I guess they didn't get too far into it because it don't cost much, but it was going to be 3D. And I think that's kind of an interesting concept because Jason goes 3D, and it was funny. So it's like, I don't know if it would have worked for this or not, but
I'm glad they did.
No, they probably shouldn't have done it. It would be one of those things that would have been great to watch it in 3D maybe, but it's like, in after effects, like, just give it to me in 2D. I don't need anything too wacky or whatever. I don't know. Like I said, you watch like Friday 13th Part 3, and it is just like a lot of like, here's this right there, and it's just like, quit jamming shit into the camera. Like, no one acts that way. So,
Did you know the car scene where they thought Michael?
Ben Tramer gets pinned into
They did that in one shoot.
Now, did they actually pin him into it, or did they do it like reverse, or do you know? Because when I'm watching it, I kept thinking like, man, like that's a pretty good stunt. Like I know they sped it up a little. You can tell they sped the film up a little bit. It was like, damn, like he gets pinned into that thing pretty good. It's like, I mean, I know it's all stunt work and everything, but it's just like shit. So like in my head, like you told me to do that scene, I just do it backwards. I'd have him already pinned and then reverse it and then play it backwards or whatever. So,
but the fact that the funniest thing about that part of that scene was they all look at the guy that's on fire, and it's just a drunk kid.
Yeah.
And they leave him. They just leave him. They're like, oh God, Myers is still out there, so they all pile into a car and drive off.
They're like, someone will get this.
Hey, do you guys even
paramedics, fire department? They'll be here. Don't worry about that. We got other shit to do. Dead teenager.
Yeah, it's
our bad.
Yeah, we made
I will say that scene with Loomis is really good though, because like I said, he. You can see it on his face, like he's not sure that's him. Like, he's almost positive it's probably not.
Yeah.
But he knows he didn't kill, but his actions caused this kid to die. And so you do see that on his face, and I thought that was a really cool scene right there, because again, it is just like, yeah, that's pretty fucked up right there, Like, it would be something really hard to handle there.
The fact that everybody else was like, that's him, but it's, come on now, evil does not die that easily.
Not as that, but he had a striped shirt underneath his thing, so it's like, come on, that was definitely not him at all, but I guess we gotta have that scene though.
He smelled like liquor.
That's why it went up so quickly. That's what it was. It wasn't like the car exploded. It's like that wasn't even the car. It was just him.
Did you know moonshine lights on fire that quick?
That Everclear just went up like a heartbeat. So we get a bit of an updated score here. John Carpenter still did the music, but he was helped by Alan should have wrote it down. Anyways, the guy who did the music with him on Escape from New York, he also did music with him on Prince of Darkness and maybe something else. But I thought he did a really good job here. I said the music's definitely different, and I do prefer the more
original
melody of the This was more a little bit sped up, had a little bit more synth to it, but. Again, if you're going for a sequel, you gotta go big, go home. I would have made the same call. They would have been like, "You want this?" I'm like, "Sure." Not gonna fight you guys on that one.
The slow rhythm of the song in the first one, it always builds up to what's getting ready to happen in the scene. Here it felt like it was a fast movement.
Yeah, but at this point we were already in the thick of it. So at least when part 2 rolls around, you should never be building the shit. You should be already there, kind of thing. So I feel like in that aspect, it kind of does. It works to a certain degree right there.
He didn't really. I don't think they really wanted to change a lot, but I don't know why they changed the music.
I think honestly, just to give each individual one their own flair, I guess. Okay. Did you ever watch you watch all the Saw movies, or have you seen?
I watched, I think, probably up to number 3.
So for the most part, like the Saw theme, like whenever like the big reveal, that dun 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 dun, it's pretty much untouched. However, throughout there's just little changes, and I think that's honestly just their way of like, okay, just so you don't think we're just falling back on part 1 music, we're doing something a little bit different. I think that's what they did here. And I know that with each of them, it's tweaked just enough where you're like, well, that don't sound like the original. But it's close enough that it's like, okay, it's this is the 4 theme, this is the part 5 theme or whatever. So, speaking of themes, this is the first time we get Mr. Sandman thrown in there, which will be reused a couple more times. They bring it back for H2O, and I believe it's in the closing credits of the Rob Zombie one as well. So, I mean, it became a theme that was just kind of associated with it. And I'm not gonna lie. Whenever I'm listening to the oldie station and that thing kicks on, I'm thinking of Halloween. There's no other thing I'm thinking about at all. I'm not thinking about Enter Sandman by Metallica. I'm not thinking about the Wrestler Sandman. I'm not thinking about the Comic Book Sandman. I'm thinking literally just fucking Halloween.
The song kicks on the radio and you start looking over your shoulder. It's
getting very nervous. He can be out there broad daylight.
I know he just pops out from anywhere. So
he will just be like standing there across the hall, just looking at me. I'll be like driving by, like, nope.
Yeah.
Just keep going. I'm not gonna stop on it. So when this thing came out, like I said, critics were kind of whatever on it, but it made a lot of money. In fact, this was the second highest grossing film of 1981 horror film.
Yeah.
Got beat out by American Werewolf in London, which I do like that movie better. So definitely makes sense right there.
American Werewolf in London. I have not heard that name forever.
Oh man,
I love
my favorite werewolf movie.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yep.
So I mentioned earlier there was a TV cut of this, and there's not much difference. They basically cut out the sex and a lot of the gore and everything, which I think is kind of funny that like Carpenter's like, put the blood in this thing, and then instantly they're like, yeah, we're taking it out for TV though. And he's like, I guess. I guess there is the only real differences is there's a lot more like added scenes of just conversations, but again, nothing that really alters anything. But the biggest difference is in the end, we get closure with Jimmy because instead of just having Lori go out in the ambulance, she's paired up with Jimmy, who's got his head all bandaged because guess what? He hit his head. And then before they shut the door, she says, we did it, we made it. And they shut the door, and then Mr. Sandman comes on, and they pull. Should have been Enter Sandman actually, probably more kick-ass ending there. But anyways, they push it off, and that's how we end it. So we actually get like why they leave that out, the theatrical. It's like, why would you leave that out? Because like it did nothing to hurt. In fact, it just confused everybody more because like, what happened to Jimmy? Where the hell is Jimmy? Ben Tramer's body is still burning there in the fucking thing, and Jimmy, he's in that car slumped over still, and they're just like, well, I guess we're all clear. All the dead bodies and victims taken care of. Let's go. Jimmy wakes up a week later. Doesn't know what the hell's going on. Stumbling around.
I think that some people had some differences with how things should have went compared to what they wanted to do.
And they say that a lot too. They said that there were certain. I mean, they didn't go into detail. They said there were certain aspects of the script though that was different from script to shooting. And I always kind of curious, like, well, what was so different? Like, what made you guys, and then again, like, why take out certain things like that? Because I feel like the whole Jimmy thing was just like, that didn't take away from your runtime. That didn't add anything. It's just like, it was just a scene that you could have thrown in there that would have just, at least given some closure on this thing. So, last thing I want to throw on here before I kick it back to you, did you hear about the Halloween 2 murders?
Yes.
Crazy.
The two elderly.
Yeah.
I actually did a little research on that.
Throw it at me, man. Throw it at me.
If I can find where I, actually kept the notes at. Down. So it was a 67-year-old and a 65-year-old. Yes, there it is. Well, December 7th, 1982, they were both killed, robbed.
Yeah. And the killer tried to blame.
the damn movie.
And this ain't the first time that movies have been blamed for violence or whatever, but they literally did. They literally called these murders of this elderly couple the Halloween 2 murders. I remember first time I ever heard about this, and I kind of forgot about it until I did my research here, was that on Joe Bob's Monster Vision back in the 90s. They were showing Halloween 2, and he mentions it on there, and I'm just like, holy shit. Now, as a kid, I guess I wasn't really putting it together. I was like, was there more murder? Did this keep going? But no, it was just the, killing here. But they threw it out. It was one of those things where Roth about, they're like, yeah, this movie didn't cause murder. You caused the murder, you and your craziness here. But again, it's just like, I just love the idea that you do that and then try to blame a movie. And I'm like, if you're going to blame a movie, why don't you blame a better movie?
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing Halloween 2? Like, well, go back to the other one.
The fact that it actually happened, in L.A. was, okay, well, this movie just filmed, a year prior.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna blame it on that. That's easy to do.
That's it. It's the movie's fault right there.
It's like, come on now, really? I mean, the guy didn't, sneak around in a mask or anything. He didn't do what, he just killed two people, two innocent, elder people that had no, anything to do with the movie.
No.
He just wanted some money and whatever he wanted. So, yeah, that kind of kicked off a little bit. If they tried to, throw the backlash onto the movie.
Yeah.
Which murders in real life that come after a movie, they always blame the nearest movie.
Yeah.
And how the kills came.
Try to connect it to it that way.
It's like, come on now.
Murder's been going on for as long as murders has been a thing, so it's like, and as a whole thing, I mean, it's funny how, like, people will always fall, and not just, movies, but video games or violent music or whatever. And it's like you realize people were murdering way before this.
Yep.
And people would take inspiration from all things from art
Yep.
to the Bible. It's just like you don't blame those things, so it's like why blame? And I get it's an easy thing to blame. And it's another thing where it's like people in political power will use that to keep their power. Like, well, we got to protect the children, and I'm the guy who can stop this. I can ban and outlaw these movies. And the problem was it kind of worked because 81, 82, 83 even, you had these gory fucking brutal movies, and then that's when the MPAA stepped in. We're just like no more. And so a lot of horror films had to cut back on their murders. They was always off-screen kills, or if they did get stabbed, you didn't actually see it. Like the camera was up here and they're getting stabbed down here. And so unfortunately, this was kind of one of those leading things that went to that. So
Well, this was the only Halloween film that shows the morning after.
oh, I didn't know that. Oh damn. There you go.
Because everything else was Halloween night.
Yeah, and it usually ends Halloween night. So yeah, I
this
didn't know
was
that.
the only one that actually went
Shows you
to
November 1st,
November
like
1st.
guess what, guys? There's
Which-
the next day.
I think that keeping the trend of the same day is always good, but people that are really into movies want to know what happens the next day.
I want to see the follow up. I do like a good epilogue, if you will, because it's like sometimes I don't know, certain movies do that shit where you're just like, no one's gonna buy the story. I don't know if you ever saw Silver Bullet or not, werewolf movie with Corey Haim. So in that movie, the Reverend is the werewolf. We, as the audience, know the Reverend's a werewolf. These main characters know the Reverend's a werewolf. The movie ends where they kill with a silver bullet the werewolf, and he loses his werewolf abilities and goes back to become a naked priest in their living room. And my thought was, how do you explain this to the cops? That the priest that everybody respects in town just showed up, belligerent, drunk, trying to fight us? Do you tell them the truth? He's a werewolf? No. There's no story that makes sense that will fit any police, whatever report. Who are they going to believe? The alcoholic uncle who already has probably issues with the law? The kids? Yeah. No one's going to buy any of this shit. That movie needed an epilogue. No, what we get is we get a smile from the family after they shoot the werewolf, and then we get some voiceover that says, like, yeah, me and my brother are still close today. It's like, wait, you glossed over a whole fucking thing there. I want to know right now what the hell.
How do you take the meat out of the sandwich?
Well, okay, so House of Haunted Hill, did you ever see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so same thing. Just to quickly brief it, a bunch of people are going to get paid $1 million a piece, I think, to stay in a haunted house. So the end movie, 2 people survive. They're on this ledge, and the shutter drops behind them. But everybody else has died or disappeared in this case because there is no bodies left over. And yet they get the envelope with all the checks, and they're just like, oh my God. So you're led to believe, like, oh my God, they're rich. They got, $5 million, $6 million, whatever people were there. Millions of dollars in this thing. And it's like, okay, explain how you're going to cash this dead man or missing man's checks with all these other people's names on it. I don't remember if they were all blank or not, but it's like, I doubt it. And no, there needs to be an epilogue. I need to see these guys going to the bank like, we're going to cash these millions, and they're like, yeah, we're going to talk to the police because you shouldn't be having these checks for 1 and 2. We kind of contact the guy this comes to the account from. He's missing. Yeah. What'd you guys do with the body? That's what I want to see, but we don't get that. So you're right. Yeah, give it November 1st. Let's get a little bit of a next day scene. I'm okay with that.
They're not going to be like, a week later. Yeah. That's fine. You don't have to do that. But, it being one of the only movies that actually goes into the next day. Morning.
Well, that's changed now, though, because Halloween ends. They do it, not necessarily the next day, but they do a little tack-on thing where Jamie Lee Curtis is now dating that old cop guy, and then the lady, I'm sorry, I'm spoiling it for everybody because this is a brand new movie. But anyway, they do tack it on there. But up until then, you're right. I don't remember there being a single next morning scene, so that's pretty brilliant right there.
I think that was something that they wanted to keep, into the movie. He comes back on Halloween to get his revenge. It's every Halloween. We're not going to do, any other day, but the fact that they...
I would love to see Michael Myers kill like around February. Like not even like Valentine's, like just like the 3rd of February, just him out there cold.
4th of July would be awesome. Because you think of all the kill scenes where the people were letting off the fireworks, nobody can hear you scream.
That's true. The only 4th of July movie I could... Well, no, they did a couple. I Know He Did Last Summer. In fact, that's how Sarah Michelle Gellar gets killed because she's close to the parade, and then when she goes to make that final move, he snatches her, and all you're hearing is fireworks and the parade going, and she's being fucking butchered right there.
Buffy, man.
Oh,
man. I'm getting,
still-
I'm getting
I was
heart palpitations. I got Sarah Michelle Gellar is one.
Still is. I've seen her recently. She's married to Freddie Prinze Jr. in real life. I didn't realize that. And did you know he was a wrestling writer?
I did not know that.
Starting his own company actually coming up. I forget what it's called, but he's got his own thing going on. But now he's clearly aged quite a bit. He shaved his head down to like nothing, and you can tell he looks older. But saw a picture of him and her together. It's like, damn, like you can tell she's a little bit older, but like not by much. Like she looks damn good. So
Well,
if you're listening out there, Sarah, you got a couple of fans here that appreciate you.
You know, a diamond in the rough stays a diamond.
Oh, always a diamond. Always. And Sarah Michelle Gellar will always be a diamond.
And I actually enjoy I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I'm a fan. I am too. I like both of them. I know that they get their fair share of haters, especially part 2, but I'm a fan of both of them. I don't know. I grew up watching them. And they came out when I was in junior high. I loved them. I fucking loved them.
The Hook.
Yes, the Fisherman's a great character. He really should have had a little bit more to him, I guess, and went a little bit further. But for what it is, no, damn good. All right, so you got anything else to add to Halloween 2 before we put the bow on it?
Halloween 3 should never happen.
Oh gosh. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
And where do you rank it now that you've...
I still put it below Halloween 1.
Yeah.
I mean, Halloween 1, for actually understanding now what I've read, that never should have happened. And I know why, they went through number 2 and number 4. They should have left it. Yeah. It wasn't supposed to be, any add-ons to it. But, man, Rick and Carpenter both, they butted heads a little bit, but they still put out freaking awesome.
Still real good movie.
And that was Rick's first movie, right?
Yeah.
He
did like TV stuff before that, I think they said. He did a short film, but this is like his first actual.
And he actually, $23 million.
Yeah, no, don't say. I'll say on his resume, it looks incredible, so. Like I said, I like this one. I will admit there are other Halloween movies in the franchise that I would put above part 2, but I think 2 is probably the best 2 we got so far. Every time they keep trying to do others, it just doesn't work out. So it's like, this is the best one right there. This is definitely better than the 2018 version, which is supposed to be the part 2 now of Halloween.
I swear, if 2023 comes and they release another Halloween movie,
they're going to give them. I don't know about that soon, but give it time. They're going to do another one because they already said the rights have been reconverted back to the original producer, so he's definitely going to churn something out. I'm actually hopeful because I'm just like, get away from this last trilogy. Like, let's just forget about it, like it never happened, and move on.
Okay, let me ask you: how far do you pull it out before you end it? I mean,
see, I would say, I don't know, because one of those things where it's like, I don't know, part of me is like, remakes again or reboots. But thing is, this has been going on for years. I mean, think like movies like Dracula. Mm-hmm. In the original series, there's like 4 or 5 in the Universal franchise, but then it's been remade to death, like every 10, 20 years. I think that's the thing, is you just got to wait a little bit. Quit doing direct sequels. I hate that shit. If you're going to redo it, fucking redo it and actually reimagine it. Don't just do the same kind of thing. For me personally, I don't know. Like, I feel like what they ought to do, and this is so ridiculous. Like, I'll admit this is a ridiculous idea. I would almost go superhero with it or fantasy, where it's almost like all these movies exist on different timelines, and someone is somehow slipping between timelines or something like that. It would not probably be a good Halloween movie. I'll be the first to admit, people will be like, what the fuck are you doing for our movies? But it's like, at least you're putting them all together where now 3 is a part of the Halloween franchise. Busta Rhymes beats up one Michael Myers and another one pops up and kills him. So it's just like, I don't know. I feel like if they could do something like that where you can kind of combine all of them, again, you got this ancient druid power, you got Sam Hain, you got all this kind of thing. You can make a story out of it, but at the same time, I don't know. I would never say never make another one again, because you got to think, when we're dead and gone, someone's going to come along and be like, hey, that movie from the 70s, let's do it today. And they make a new Halloween. And as a new batch of fans that, yes, maybe it wouldn't be as good, but to them, this may be their Halloween, So yeah, I don't know. I would say, keep rocking until the wheels fall off. I would say try different things. And I know I just bitched about David Gordon Green doing his trilogy because he tried something different and it didn't work. So I guess in that instance, like, okay, fine. That's the one thing he did try. He tried something different, and it didn't work. So move on. Try something else.
Yeah.
So
Well, I know, I read on Reddit, people want Michael versus Jason.
see, I've been wanting that forever. There actually is a short film out there with that, and it's pretty good. But the problem is, you don't really get Jason versus Michael. What you get is Jason killing these campers, and this is like this is like a step above a fan film because I think it was actually put in some festivals, but it's not official or anything like that. But Jason's killing all these campers, and he's leading them into town, into Haddonfield, which is like New Jersey and fucking Illinois, but whatever, guys. And then Myers is chasing these babysitters, and he's slashing them up, and then boom, they collide, and they're looking at each other, and then they do the step forward, and then it cuts the credits. So we never actually get a Jason versus. And I agree, I would love the only issue I can see if that is, you got to have a really good supporting cast that can move the story but not bog it down.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's why I grew up watching like Godzilla movies, and I love watching these monsters clash. The problem with all those movies was you never got those clashes very often. You get a scene here, a scene there, and then a big one at the end. And you had all these side stories of like the people like, well, here's what Godzilla's thinking, and all this other stuff. And it's like I don't need that shit. Like, set it up, get there, and then release it. And I think Freddy vs. Jason, I love Freddy vs. Jason, and when we get that final showdown, it's great. A lot of the build-up is kind of hit or miss. Like I said, I don't mind it, but at the same time, it's like, just get to them fighting. That's what I want. Make it short. It don't have to be a full hour, 40 minutes. My God, just make it an hour. Set up, battle, end.
Freddy was one of the best trash talkers.
See, and he can move the story himself, whereas you got two silent guys, they won't be able to really communicate. So it's just going to be like physical. And
so you are going to have a good
You got to
cast.
have a cast to kind of get that story up and running and going. But I would say don't skimp on the action. Like, I mean, literally. A good example of that would be like Alien versus Predator. I said I like the first AVP. Second one kind of sucked. But the first one I really dug. And I think they did a good job of like, you establish the reason why everybody's there, but then just step the fuck back and let the aliens and predators fight. And like I said, a lot of people complain like it's just nonstop nonsense. But I'm like, what did you want? Yeah. Like the Predator and Alien have a debate, and then the Alien have his own personal struggles as he's going this way, and the Predator's got to rethink his life, and then they fight. No. Alien versus Predator, that's what we wanted, and that's what we got. And
Alien wins every time.
He always comes down on top in the end. You think the Predator walks away okay, but then... and so that's what happens that one.
Alien,
we're doing visuals for a podcast.
Yeah, we're doing.
We did the chest person, guys. That's what we did. Sorry,
but that is one of the most awesome scenes is when the chest explodes.
And I love that when the alien comes up, he has that Predator, jaw too. So it's just really fucking awesome.
It kind of reminds me of the I don't know why this, but when the alien makes the the sound. Mm-hmm. Okay, so go back to Jurassic Park when they're holding the Velociraptor.
You're right. It's very similar.
It's like, wait a minute, I want
to see the DNA right now. Is there alien DNA in this right here? Does he have acid for blood? Well, the fact that we're on Jurassic Park right now means we are clearly done with Halloween too. So we're going to go bell on this. Overall, we're giving it a thumbs up. We like it. Not good the first one. So that's all we got. So I've been Daniel.
I'm Tyler.
And guys, we'll catch you next time.